Hello everybody, welcome. So for today what we're going to be discussing is how to eat for type 2 diabetes, sort of what the condition like type 2 diabetes does for the body and how we need to eat appropriately to manage it and maybe even help reduce it over time. So diabetes, this may not be new information, but just in case if you are just recently diagnosed or you're watching this for someone else in your life that might have type 2 diabetes, what is it exactly? So basically, diabetes is a condition where the blood sugar, the blood glucose in our blood is just high. It's higher than it should be. This can either be where the body isn't producing insulin, which is a hormone that actually brings sugar out of the blood, which is what type 1 diabetes is, or it could be the body is no longer recognizing the insulin that it's producing. So sometimes type 2 diabetes is called insulin resistance or insulin resistant diabetes. The World Health Organization estimates that 170 million people had diabetes at least in the year 2000, and it could be 366 million by the year 2030. So this is an issue that is not just already exploding, but is only getting more and more prevalent over time. A great deal of our healthcare costs are due to type 2 diabetes. Because when we develop type 2 diabetes, our risk for heart disease, kidney disease, neuropathy, eye conditions, a whole slew of other conditions develop as a result. So many people believe that if we could get a handle on our diabetes, especially type 2, all of these other comorbidity, these other health conditions can be lessened or in some cases prevented, and a tremendous savings can happen as a result if we don't have to keep spending so much money on this health condition. So when the body is healthy, the body is able to recognize about how much sugar we just got from a meal, and that's sugar of any kind, whether it's processed sugar or the healthy sugar we get in whole food, and the pancreas releases insulin. The insulin allows that sugar to flow out of the blood and into our body to be used as fuel. When our bodies become resistant to the insulin, it doesn't recognize it anymore, the sugar just stays in our blood and it builds up and builds up over time. So this is really what we are trying to do, and we're trying to either manage or help to reduce the severity of type 2 diabetes. We want to improve the body's sensitivity to insulin so that it does its job appropriately. Most people who are diagnosed with diabetes is type 2. Very few of the cases are actually type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune condition. So type 2 diabetes typically is a lifestyle condition. It is something that is developed over time. So how do we become type 2 diabetic? How do we become resistant to insulin? One of the main ways, not probably shocking, is diet. The food we eat is a fundamental factor in how sensitive our body is to insulin. If we eat a lot of processed food, the food is lacking fiber, it's lacking essential fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all the things that keep our cells healthy. So if I eat a lot of processed food, I'm lacking the things that keep my body healthy, and sensitivity starts to diminish over time. Lack of physical activity, when we move, those cells and muscles and everything in that area need some extra sugar, so they pull a little more sugar out of the bloodstream. So if I never move, if I just sort of sit in my car, sit on my couch, sit at my desk, I'm never keeping my body in motion, my body becomes less and less sensitive to insulin. When we move, insulin sensitivity builds up. Movement, by the way, this is not always in the form of exercise. This is just being in motion, being active. Keeping a healthy body weight, so as our body weight builds up, more and more fat actually becomes deposited inside of our cells. The big fancy term for this is intramyocellular lipid. It's actually inside the cell, and it prevents the insulin from working appropriately. So if we keep a healthier body weight, this fat gets out of our cells, and the cells can recognize insulin more effectively. And then last but not least is stress. When we are under stress, we have hormones, neurotransmitters, fat, sugar, all pumped into the blood, and that plays havoc on our ability to recognize insulin and produce insulin correctly. So the more we can get our body weight, our body activity, the food we feed our body, and the stress in our heads under control, we can either prevent or help to reduce the severity of type 2 diabetes. So the things that we can do is we can work on our diet, work on our activity, work on our stress. Those are things that no matter what your current condition is, you have control over and you can start today. Supplements, there's a lot of different research happening about dietary supplements, herbal supplements, mineral supplements. Perhaps they're needed, perhaps it'd be of benefit to you, but that's something you'd have to have a consultation with a dietitian, a doctor, your pharmacist, some other expert about, or medication if needed. Again, something you would need to sit down with somebody else about. So what we'll talk about are these things that you can do without needing to necessarily work with or consult with another person, that you can start doing some good things for yourself today. So diet and diabetes. Carbohydrates get a bad reputation with diabetes. People think that to help control diabetes or prevent diabetes, you can't eat any carbs, which is absolutely not true. The primary source of fuel for our body is carbohydrates. Our red blood cells can only use carbohydrates for energy. The brain needs carbohydrate for energy, and there are certain cells in our kidneys that can really only use carbohydrates for energy. So don't let anyone ever tell you that you need to be on some low carb, I won't name names, diet to help manage or prevent diabetes. It doesn't make biological sense to do that. The issue is that not all carbohydrates are equal. Not all of them are equally healthy. Processed, simplified, refined to death carbohydrates, juice, flour, sugar, things where they've taken all the life out of it, are very different from complex carbohydrates that have antioxidants, fiber, water, nutrients, other things to give us. So it's not that carbs are bad, it's that getting the processed form of carb out does a wonder of good for the body. So not surprisingly, soda and corn syrup, all these things, the more you can avoid or minimize, the better. And just replace with whole grains, whole fruits, whole vegetables. Nuts and seeds have a little bit of carbohydrate in them. Beans and lentils have a great, good quality source of carbohydrate, part of which is fiber. Fiber is a carbohydrate. It's an undigestible carbohydrate, but it's a carbohydrate nonetheless. So when people talk about these silly low-carb diets, they're also on low-fiber diets, which is not good. So don't think about that I can't eat any carbohydrate or sugar. If I want to get my sugar in the whole form from fruit, from a grain, from a bean, from something that's still in its whole form. Protein, it's important to get a variety of different sources. So animal sources of protein tend to also be a bit fatty. Even if it's skinless, boneless, they've taken all of it out, there's still fat in the muscle itself. So getting more plant sources of protein like beans and lentils, again, nuts and seeds, even some fermented soy foods sometimes people like tempeh or tofu if you like to eat foods from different cultures. Wonderful, they add variety and flavor to the diet, they keep things interesting. And then animal products can be in there too, they're just not the main star anymore. You mix them in as part of everything else you're taking in. Because reason why plant proteins have fiber. Animal proteins, since they're animals not plants, don't produce fiber. So getting more of your protein from a plant source helps to bring a tremendous amount of fiber in, plus all sorts of other healthy compounds. Fat. Again, fats are not good or bad. Proteins are not good or bad. Carbs are not good or bad. They are all good when they are in the correct amounts and from the good, correct sources. So the quality is very important. Processed fat, fake butter, fake margarine, processed oils, hydrogenated oils, shortening, fried foods. These are very harmful forms of fat. Avocado, nuts and seeds, small amounts of cold-pressed oils that haven't been high heated or fried, much healthier for the body. They keep everything much more in balance. So if you were to plan out a meal throughout the day that was going to be appropriate for either helping to prevent or more specifically manage type 2 diabetes, just think about it as healthy combinations of all three of these things. Good carb, good fat, good protein. So maybe a serving or two of each depending how hungry you are. It's really up to you how much you know you need to feel full. It's just getting better quality source in there. So something like oatmeal with berries and walnuts. Whole grain toast with peanut butter and sliced up apple. Something like whole grain muffin mix or hot cereals. Whole grain hot cereals are much better than cold cereal. They digest differently, they tend to be more filling. And cold cereals, even if they're whole grain, they typically add a lot of sugar too. Whereas oatmeal and grits and farina and brown rice cereal, they have quinoa-based hot cereals now. They're all whole grain and they typically don't add sugar to them. So little things like this can be really fantastic. Different nuts, different seeds, anything to add crunch or richness or something more satisfying into it. Make breakfast count. You never want to just eat a piece of toast for breakfast and leave. You're going to be hungry the rest of the day. Really allow yourself the chance to eat something good. Same thing with lunch and dinner. Something filling and just something that has good quality carbohydrate, protein, and fat source in there as well. A good rule of thumb is to try to make half your plate veggies, the other remaining quarter some sort of whole grain or whole starch, and the other a good source of protein. So if I wanted to fill up half my plate with greens or carrots or onions or mushrooms, tomatoes, salad, I could also have some potatoes or sweet potato or squash or brown rice or whole grain pasta, beans, peas, tofu, lentils, hummus, something like that. Maybe have a soup or a salad with it. Get a lot of food, piece of fruit on top of it. This is Jeff Novick's healthy eating placemat. I think no matter what your health needs are, I think this helps to kind of get the right message across. Fill it up, and if it's mostly all these great foods, there's no room left in your belly to be hungry for a candy bar or a soda or something like that. You filled yourself up with something really healthy. So you could do whole wheat pita and you could stuff it with hummus and vegetables and different things. You could make a gigantic salad and fill it with different veggies, and if you felt the need for it, you could do a little crumble of cheese or a little bit of cooked salmon on top of it. Great big thermos of cooked vegetable and bean soup that you have with a whole wheat roll and a fruit salad or something. Little tiny things that travel well, things that you already know how to cook and feel comfortable preparing, just changing that proportion. More grain, more veggie, more fruit, more bean, a little less processed food and a little less emphasis on animal food. Dinner is the same thing as lunch. Half that plate veggie, good serving of something starchy so you feel full, and a good serving of some mixture of plant or little animal protein in there if you need. It solves everything. It's the right balance of carbohydrate, it's the right amount of fiber, it's full of antioxidants and vitamins and minerals, it's everything that you're trying to get. So again, same idea, just different proportions, different amounts of each of these things, just to kind of get your brain rolling of different foods that you can have. As for snacks, try to make it of some combination of maybe some healthy form of a protein, beans, nuts, things like that, with a carbohydrate or a fruit. So yogurt with blueberries, whole wheat toast with peanut butter, and maybe some apple or something with it. Apples with walnuts. You could do, I love to chop a cantaloupe or a melon in half and fill the little thing with either some almonds or walnuts or something if you really need something a little more substantial. It's a great breakfast food too. Little things like this, you could even take a leftover baked potato and stuff it full of salsa and black beans and have a really good filling snack. So something that will actually get you from one meal to the other. Exercise, again, it helps with weight loss, it helps build insulin sensitivity. Exercise helps a lot with digestion. Movement. Anything that gets your body in motion that you enjoy is the right answer. So if you hate running, don't jump on a treadmill. Go for a walk, go for a swim, stretch, dance, anything you like. Just do something that gets your whole body engaged. And stress. Stress helps to actually increase blood sugar. Stress, when it's very chronically high, can decrease insulin sensitivity. So deep breathing, spiritual practice, journaling, writing, walking, yoga, tai chi, qigong, meditation, visualization, beautiful music, whatever the answer is for you that helps you to feel less stressed, it's important. We can't just get away with feeling stressed all the time anymore. We really have to take control. So the key points, get the good quality food in, high amounts of good quality plant food, really trying to minimize more processed food and not seeing animal food as the main star of the plate. Shifting that proportion, really getting as much fiber-rich food as you can. Do some physical activity throughout the day. It doesn't always have to be exercise. It could just be getting up and stretching from your desk and getting the arms and body movement. It keeps the body in motion. It gets your blood flowing. And work on stress in whatever way that you know will work best for you. Try to manage these levels. So never hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions at all. I hope you found today's information helpful, and be well.